Welcome back to Hot Stocks. We're discussing South Africa's biggest players in the private healthcare space, Mediclinic and Netcare. We'll also touch on Life Healthcare Group in just a little while. First of all, let's start with those debt issues. We have already covered some ground on them. We haven't spoken about size. Rob, you want to give us an indication of what debt we're actually dealing with here?
I think it's 1.1 billion pounds more or less for Netcare. It was 29 billion rand for Mediclinic. So, very big numbers there. And the problem was that people were worried about how they were going to get this debt refinanced. But with good capital markets at the moment for Netcare in the UK and in South Africa, they seem to be able to refinance these at better levels and just roll over this debt. So, initially you saw Netcare and Mediclinic type of planning out while they were working out these issues.
So now that they've worked them out, this is the re-rating that we've seen, that Paul capitalized on by selling out yesterday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny because global capital markets recovered since the big fall of '08, but they recovered in funny ways. Like commercial mortgage-backed securities don't seem to work anymore. So businesses in the UK that funded buildings using these commercial mortgages, that you can't do. But companies with good balance sheets can write debt at just about any number at very low global rates. So I don't know, I guess that's the story. The interesting thing about it was that when they both did them, they were non-recourse to the South African cash flows. But that wasn't because the companies want to do it. That's like an exchange control rule, that you can go and raise debt and do things internationally, but you can't kind of externalize the money and make local shareholders pay. But it's worked out quite well in both cases, because it's meant that the assets are what underpins the debt. And so the banks are left with an unfortunate choice. What are they going to do? They're going to take possession of those Netcare hospitals in the UK? No, they don't want to, so they're forced to renegotiate.
No more concerns on this front from you, on the debt side of things?
No, I think they've restructured them quite well, cheaply, and I think a little bit of growth in their businesses, there shouldn't be any problems with the refinancing.
Can we pull in Life Healthcare Group here? Is there any issue on the debt side when it comes to Life Healthcare Group?
They've been much more cautious, conservative. I suppose it's all about timing. They are expanding in India, so they have a comparable sort of growth story there, but it's fairly early days. And I think for them it's more just been about looking for build-in acquisitions and adding beds on existing facilities, and then, as Rob said, going to some other towns like Piet Retief and some secondary places and doing business there.
They're the clear second player in this battle for the top three at about 36 billion rand with market cap there and thereabouts. Yeah. Just bringing them into this discussion, do you take them seriously as a contender and as a value player going forward?
Yes, I think so. I think they're also slightly at one tier lower on the healthcare. Some of their facilities are not as high as Mediclinics, so it is slightly cheaper to do certain procedures there, and they're going into markets where Netcare isn't and Mediclinic is. So some of these far out places, slightly smaller clinics, so not these huge, massive buildings. So they can grow quite quickly if they bring that model on, and they can probably expand out of South Africa quite quickly with that model.
So there's enough room for these three big players.
Yes, look, I view, because we're talking broadly about valuations and options here. I mean, I love the healthcare space, but remember there's also the pharmaceutical companies. That's Aspen, done hell of a well, and Adcock. And then there are the medical aid and related insurers, where Discovery has done a magnificent job as well. So when we look at the sector, we've looked at all of these 5 or 6 companies as potential investment vehicles.
Let's go back to the debt issue and who holds first place in terms of the restructuring that we've seen to this point when it comes to Netcare and Mediclinic.
I think Mediclinic are done with theirs, so I think they're in a better place at the moment. And moving forward in Switzerland, they've also got Remgro behind them, where Netcare doesn't. Also on the Netcare side, the properties, we were waiting for a turnaround in the UK. But it could take a bit longer than expected, and then maybe there could be a debt issue going forward. I don't think so, but I'd say Mediclinic is cleaner.
And you agree, Paul, because you've been nodding.
Yeah, although I would say that if you're buying them now, you still have potential for more upside with Netcare once the final terms of the reorganization are actually announced, rather than just the deconsolidation and the indication that the deal is pending.